What's the plan, exactly? We go in. We find your book. We get out. Before Lord Lapworthy gets back from your wedding. Get in. Find book. Get out. Simple. The drive curves. It takes us through a grove of trees and round the crest of the hill. The house is the same dark stone as the wall. It looks like a fortress. The fountain in front is a dry basin of alabaster. The mermaids are streaked with green. I hurry to catch up with Emmett. Wait. Come on. He turns left, towards the back of the house. There's a huge stable yard, double the size of the one at my uncle's house. Windows look down on us from every side. The cobbles are gleaming wet. At the far corner a man in working clothes looks up. I stop dead. He stares for a second and goes back to sluicing the ground clean with a bucket of water. Emmett beckons me. What's the matter? That man saw us. Emmett frowns at me. What? We can't just ring the bell and ask if we can ransack the library. It's all right. Trust me. Footsteps come down the passage. I can hear them patter on stone. I drag him away from the door. He stumbles sideways. What are you doing? Lucian? Let's go round to the front. I can try to convince the butler. We won't get anywhere with the tradesman's entrance. The door swings open. A scullery maid in a drab dress and grey pinafore peers out. She's wearing grimy cotton cuffs around her wrists and holding a smeared rag. Sally, Emmett says. You remember me? From de Havillands. I brought those boxes last week. She stares at him. Her mouth makes a silent O. He steps forward. She squeaks and nearly trips over the mat. Then, as if the noise has released something, she whispers, Mr. Emmett. You're dead. They said you were dead. Mr. Enningtree said it was in the paper. He blinks. I'm definitely not dead. He spreads his arms wide and his knapsack slides down to his elbow. Look. Don't. It has to be secret. Please, Sally. A secret? It's more than my position's worth. It's binder's business. Come on. You know who I am. Please. She looks at him, furrowing her brow, and then at me. No. Emmett pushes his foot into the gap. Wait. I'm sorry, Mr. Emmett. But I can't. Look at me. He steps close to her. She stands still in the doorway. She's staring at her feet. Look at me, Sally. Slowly she raises her head. He leans forward. His mouth is almost touching her ear. In a low voice, he says, Do what I say, right now. Or I'll take your whole life away. You know what I mean, don't you? I'll put your memories in a book. You won't even remember your own name. There's a pause. My own breath is coming short. Emmett pushes gently against the door and she steps backwards, giving up ground. I don't want to do that. I like you. But I need to get into the library now. She raises her face. She's gone white. Please, don't, good girl. He steps past her into a dingy little passage. He beckons to me without turning his head. Now. We're going to be in the library. If you make sure we're not disturbed, everything will be all right. Do you understand? She nods. She clears her throat. When my lord comes back. Then you can come and tell us he's here. She nods again. She keeps nodding. Her eyes are fixed on Emmett's face. She gestures to the end of the corridor. Shall I show you to the library? I remember the way. Go back to work. And don't tell anyone we're here. Promise? Come on. It's this way, I think. Maybe I should have let her show us. I wasn't thinking. He pushes open a different door. An identical passage disappears into darkness like a tunnel. It's painted green and cream like the servants' quarters at home. He hurries along, counting doors. At last, he stops and pushes one open. He swears under his breath. He tries the next. Then he grabs my arm and pulls me through. We're in the main hall. On our left there's a great marble balustraded staircase. A drawing room opens on the other side. We go down a long wide gallery paved with lozenges of daylight. Huge paintings hang on the walls. Battles. Hunting scenes. Bared teeth and blood. We walk to the last door at the end. The library is a tall, light room. High mullioned windows on two sides look out on an avenue of limes. The other walls are bookcases. More books than we had at school. A gleaming spiral staircase leads to a walkway above our heads. The fireplace is carved white marble. Plump cherubs balance heavy tomes on their dimpled knees. Nymphs peep between vine leaves, their eyes wide. Satyr's right. There's the end of a fire in the grate, still flickering. Fire buckets filled with sand stand ready on either side. The armchair on the hearthrug holds the shape of someone's body. I imagine Lapworthy taking coffee in here before he left for my wedding, relaxed, amused, flicking idly through my book. A mixture of hope and shame pulses, deep in my gut. But if he was reading my book, he's put it back on the shelf. Everything is in its place. Emmett shuts the door and shoots the bolt across. He laughs under his breath. Finally, he pulls off his gloves and pushes his hair off his face. I was right before, when I thought he was wearing a ring. It's a thick silver band, set with a blue-green stone. The sort of thing de Havilland might wear, or my father. Not ugly, but surprising. He wasn't wearing it yesterday, he must have stolen it from somewhere. He turns to me. Lucian? What's the matter? I pull one drawer of the desk open. It's full of creamy paper. The other drawer is locked. What is it? Are you all right? I tilt the inkwell. It's nearly empty. I hold it still, wondering if what I can see is ink or shadow. I clear my throat. Would you have done it? He blinks. A smile comes and goes at the corner of his mouth. Of course not. I couldn't. You threatened to. No, I mean I couldn't. It's not possible. You need someone to let you bind them, you can't just. I'm a binder, not a wizard. A clock strikes somewhere. I jump to my feet. He straightens and looks round. Suddenly his face is different, alert, concentrated. We don't have much time. Right. He turns on his heel in a circle. I look round too. I open my mouth. But there's no need to say it. We can both see how many books there are. I start to scan the nearest bookcase. Names. Names and names and names. Any of them could be mine. There's no kind of order to these. The clock strikes again. 15 minutes gone. We look at each other. There has to be an order to them. They're not alphabetical. There has to be. I shrug. I can't think. He steps back and surveys the bookcases. Look for the color. Unless he's had library covers put on, he stops, as if the thought is too heavy to hold. I promise we'll find it. We just have to look. We can't give up. I nod. At the town hall, the first carriages must be rolling away. What is Honor doing right now? What is my father doing? I turn back into the room. He's staring at me. He looks white and strained. As if he cares about this as much as I do. If he gets caught here, it'll be transportation. At least my father will make sure I stay out of Gale. Sorry. Just look, will you? Yes. I head towards the spiral stair. The iron treads ring dully as I climb. Emmett mutters, "No, no, no, up here the covers are more varied." It's harder to be sure I'd spot a grey-green spine. I go back to reading the names. I can feel time being used up like oxygen. Damn it. I can't see the names properly. This lowest shelf. Damn it, Farmer. I said I can't help it. I'm a binder, it sucks me in. He's gone even paler than before. At least we know they're not fakes. I turn back to the shelves. Names and names and names. Not mine. Once I see Darnay and it's like an electric shock. But it's Elizabeth Sarsoon Darnay. What's the matter? Farmer? I'm all right. You look ill. It was the memories. Bluebell Woods, his daughter's wedding. He catches my eye and tries to smile. It's horrible, that's all. They stole his life. Emmett shifts. I don't look round. I don't want him to see my face. I can still feel his arms round me, the night we spent together, the slow warmth seeping into my bones. But that's gone. Over. I look up at the plaster on the ceiling. Frozen white fruit hangs above us, hard enough to break your teeth. Abruptly, he moves towards me. I turn automatically, ready to reach out for him. I'm about to say something. I don't know what. He pushes past. I stumble backwards into the bookcase. It's there. I think, yes. For a blank instant, I don't know what he's talking about. Your book. It's there. He wrenches the handle of the bookcase. These must be the illegal ones. The ones where people are still alive, or their families. Look. He's right. Grey-green, with my name on the spine in silver. Lucian Darnay. I should be glad, but waves of cold run through me. Yes. Break the glass, Anne. Maybe we could, he tails off. The silence answers my question better than the words. I take a deep breath. For a moment everything looks like it's trompe l'oeil, the plasterwork, the books, the furniture. Like Lizette's old doll's house. Even the trees and sky outside are like a drawing on paper, pressed against the glass. I could be made of wood and wax. I turn my back on him. Let's get out of here. I go down the spiral staircase. He doesn't follow me. Leave it, Farmer. What? You can't give up. Lucian. He glances down over the banister, at the fire in the hearth. Wait, what am I thinking? We don't have to get it out. If we break the glass, we can burn it here. Get the tongs, and one of those sand buckets. I don't want to set the whole house alight. I don't understand, he says, at last. Why did we come here, if not for your book? I draw in a long breath. I want my book, I say. I want it safe. I want to keep it somewhere out of sight. I want to know that no one can read it. That's all. But don't you want to know? No. Let's go. I glance at the door, but the thought of running into someone makes me shiver. I turn to the window. A magpie hops along the paving just outside. It pauses and slurts its head at me. There's something sparkling in its beak. I step closer. No. I'm imagining it. There's a headache starting in my temples. I unlatch the nearest casement. It's narrow, but there's room to squeeze through. You don't have to be afraid. I promise. Burn it. Stop telling me what to do. He winces, and I'm glad. It's my life, farmer. I choose. Please, Lucian. Trust me. Trust you? I spit the words at him. I can remember how he wept and vomited the first time I saw him. Now he's looking at me the same way I looked at him then. Pity, and contempt, and disbelief. It hurts so much it takes my breath away. Why should I trust you? Because we fucked, once. He bends over the banister, his face lowered. I take a step towards him. You think you know better than me? Well, Nell's dead. De Havilland's dead. Because of you. So tell me, why should I trust you? I still don't look at him. A few miles away, the town hall will be emptying. My father will be saying goodbye to the guests, making jokes, complimenting the women, smiling as if this was exactly what he had in mind. In a little while I will have to go home. Lord Latworthy's face flashes into my mind's eye, avid, predatory, curious. That was why he wanted me, last night. I was a specimen. I swallow, refusing to let Emmett see how queasy I feel. Maybe he would, I say. Maybe we could come to some arrangement. There's something in my tone that makes him blink and falter. All right, he says slowly. And then what? Even if you get your hands on it. What will you do with it? Keep it in a bank vault, out of sight? Yes, exactly. I walk away. My eyes are stinging worse than ever. I break into a stumbling trot. I want to get as far away from him as possible. But a few steps later I realize he's not following me. I glance round. He's running back towards the house. It takes me a second to understand what he's doing. Then I'm pelting after him, sliding on the mud-slick grass. I shout after him, "Hey!" He doesn't even pause. He launches himself through the window, swears, and stumbles into the room clutching his elbow. By the time I've climbed through, his crouching by the hearth, digging in the fire with the tongs. Let go! But I drag him down. He totters on the edge of a step, tries to grab at the banister, and misses. He staggers backwards, almost into my arms. I lean over him, trying to get to the tongs. He fights to keep them at arm's length. I grind my thumb into his shoulder, until he gasps, but when he wrenches himself free he's laughing. We wrestle, teetering on the same narrow step. It's almost a dance. Come on, just let me this is so stupid, he's laughing. We both move at once. As he dives for them, I throw myself into his path. We grapple, pushing and pulling at each other like kids. He wrests one hand out of my grasp, but he doesn't hit me. Instead, he pulls ineffectually at my fingers, trying to prise them off his upper arm. He's not laughing anymore. We don't have time. Instantly he grabs my wrists and slides away. No. I launch myself at him, clawing at his shoulders, his collar, his throat, anything. He spins and ducks, trying to dodge. For a split second he pauses, staring over my shoulder, and a frown flickers over his face. I turn to see what he's looking at and lose my footing. My elbow catches his jaw. His head snaps sideways and slams against the desk. He falls to his knees, his breath hoarse. There's a silence. It must have been the ember, skidding across the floor, or a stray spark, catching the pile of books that Farmer threw aside. It doesn't matter how it happened. There are flames licking up the bookshelves, ragged ribbons of heat snapping against the glass. The varnished wood blisters and turns black. The books are burning like camphor, furious, exuberant. Light flares inside the bookcase, leaping up and up until the very top shelf is blazing. New sparks burst like seed pods, take root, grow. Smoke pours upwards. Books want to burn, he says. They go up like that because they're unstable, memories don't want to stay. He tails off into a fit of coughing. There's a knock at the door, and Sally's voice, pleading to be let in. Stop this. We have to go, he says, forcing the words out. Now. I bend and grab the poker from beside the hearth. Then I run up the staircase, into the heart of the fire.